Okay, so you might have seen this headline in the news. Let's talk about it. I did product cut over 200 suppliers from their approved supplier list after doing an extensive labor rights abuses audit. And if you don't know me, my name's Cassandra. I work in the leather industry here in Florence. I have my own brand, Sieme, which is upcycled luxury leather goods, handcrafted here in Florence. And then I also am the co-founder of the first leather upcycling center in all of Italy. And if you do follow me, then you've heard me deep dive into some of these other brands that have been found to have labor rights abuses. Dior, Armani, Loro Piana. I have a bunch of videos on my page, but essentially this is happening because the prosecutor's office in Milan is making it a priority to audit a lot of these companies, especially those operating in and around the Milan area, to make sure to clamp down on illegal factories and labor rights abuses in the Italian fashion supply chain. At this point, you might be asking, but how is it possible that Prada has over 200 suppliers that don't meet the criteria for safe and legal working environments in Italy? And let me tell you, it's because of something called subcontracting, which is not just common in the Italian fashion supply chain, but in the fashion supply chain in general, and is usually where we see all of the labor rights abuses occur. It's not that brands actively partner directly with factories that are illegal or engaging in illegal practices. It's that they often turn a blind eye, and here's why. Brands will usually make a contract directly with a factory. That is called your tier 1 contractor. Most brands do not own their own factories. They contract out to individual, privately owned factories or factory groups. Almost every single brand will make sure that that initial contractor has passed all of the necessary legal requirements to be a safe and responsible working factory for their employers, for the environment in the country that they are operating in. Here's where it starts to get tricky, is that those factories work with other factories, usually to do a portion of production. I'm going to give you an example in the handbag industry. A lot of factories will contract out the edge painting work or making the straps or the cutting of the leather to factories that only specialize in those very particular things. Why? Because it's faster and more efficient. If you follow me, you've already established that we're not talking about artisanal production here, guys, anymore, even in the luxury industry when we're making thousands and thousands and thousands of bags a month. Overall, the system, no matter where you're producing in what country, is designed for speed and efficiency. That doesn't mean it's bad quality. It just means it's designed for speed and efficiency, which reduces costs. A responsible brand will ask their initial factory for the documentation for a certain level of subcontractors. So depending on the brand, they might be like, we also do due diligence on level 1, level 2, level 3 subcontractors. That means 3 levels down. That's pretty good. And honestly, not a lot of brands do that. But where it starts to get really murky is in these subcontractors, especially when you go down to level 4, level 5. That means that the initial factory contracted out to a level 2 subcontractor, contracted out to a level 3 subcontractor, which contracted out to a level 4 subcontractor. So a lot of times the brands don't even know this is happening by the time you get to levels 4, 5, 6, et cetera, et cetera. And this is where we see almost all of the labor rights abuses occur, because nobody is checking on these factories, and a lot of times subcontractors at level 2 and 3 aren't even disclosing that they're portioning out and sending out a part of the production work. Now, if you're still with me, and I know this video is long, you might be asking, why are factories even sending out this work in the first place? Like I mentioned, it's more efficient. Some of these subcontractors are specialized just in this part of the production process, but also because factories don't want to say no to orders. And sometimes they're too full, and they don't want to say no to a customer, so they're going to bring another factory in to make sure that they meet the deadline of a very tight order, especially when the entire fashion industry pretty much revolves around the same delivery times. Prada doing this audit is really about them buckling down, and I would put money on the fact that they finally combed through all of their subcontractors, going down multiple levels, and discovered that a lot of them were engaging in illegal labor practices. And granted, they have over 1,000 suppliers, but this is still like 15 to 20%. That's a lot. I'm not saying that this is Prada's fault at all, and good on them for doing the internal audit themselves. But oftentimes when you hear about these scandals, even in the luxury industry, but across the board in the fashion industry, it's coming from the subcontractors. Anyway, hope this cleared some things up. Thank you for sticking with me through this whole video. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Until then, ciao from Firenze.